Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. On today's episode, we're on the victory road to Bound for Glory with Impact Wrestling. Some shocking twists and turns today or last night on Impact Wrestling. We're going to talk about, including some devastating FaceTime conversations that were hacked. I tell you, by Sami Callihan.
Wow.
And so we're going to talk about that. Of course, on Impact, whenever there's a Speedball Mike Bailey match, it steals a show. But, man, he had some special talent last night with Mascara Dorada. So we're going to talk about all that stuff, man. I'm looking forward to that. Yep. There's some interesting merger news that we're going to talk about that could affect the way we're watching wrestling.
Definitely.
You know, this is probably non-news, but you never know. It could be actual news. We're going to talk about it. Talk about some potential WWE returns. Triple H is bringing back the band. When I say the band, I mean is everybody that they released. That's not
Kevin Nash's and Scott Hall's faction and Impact.
Right, not that. No, nor
not the band. No,
yeah, nor the Insiders, DDP, and Kevin Nash's faction in WCW.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Of course, Larson. Whether you call it Scrumgate, Brawl Out, whatever you want to call it, Muffin Mania, whatever you want to call it, backstage drama.
I haven't heard Muffin Mania.
I just made that up, baby. It's pretty great.
Not bad. It's not bad. Let's get into. It seems like now that Brawl Out, Muffin Mania, Scrumgate has happened. Now, like, everybody's just throwing rumors out for the press to kind of.
So I'm glad you're prefacing that with this, because clearly there are, what do we always say? Agendas. There are clearly agendas at play with all this reporting going on now.
Right. You got that right.
And there's battle lines being drawn. Larson, what's up first? What we got up first?
So first here we got, this is from Voices of Wrestling, their podcast. And on this podcast, it was mentioned that CM Punk would often watch every match on the show that he was booked on and then offer advice.
Oh, wow.
To those who competed. I mean, this isn't new. That's one of the things he harped on during his media scrum is advice. FTR has talked about Punk offering advice to anybody who'd be willing to listen. On the flip side of Punk watching everything and offering advice, apparently, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, their executive vice presidents of AEW, again, this is according to the report here from Voices of Wrestling, would often leave tapings early. Now, this would seem to be a situation where somebody has gotten this information out to counter any sort of claim.
Oh, wow.
That Punk may have had some attitude or was difficult backstage.
Oh, my goodness, great. I thought that the EVPs were the good guys. Now they're the bad guys because they're leaving early, and Punk is the good guy.
Just wait, Steve.
Oh,
There's
no.
more. So this is something I'd heard about earlier this week, but Meltzer talked about in the newsletter. So there's a talent meeting. I think it was on August 25th. It was before All Out, where the Young Bucks spoke, Tony Khan spoke, Jericho I think did too, and then Kenny Omega. And apparently, Meltzer has some news on something Kenny said that may have rubbed some people the wrong way. So this is from the newsletter. Quote, also surfacing was a story that the company meeting called several weeks back, part of the speech by Omega that was described as a pep talk and tough love, but that some were irked by a line. He said that 8 out of 10 of the people there he wouldn't have hired.
Damn!
He absolutely said the line. One version is that it was very clear when he said it, he was being comedic, that he was looking at Will Ospreay when he said it. Then said that he was just messing with Ospreay. Many laughed about it. Others took it as serious, and there were those upset about it. Several told us it was something totally misinterpreted, taken out of context, but others didn't like it. He also did say that the overall energy in locker room at the start of the company was more positive, perhaps in trying to recreate that time and place with the current roster.
You know, oh man, that Kenny Omega. What a big jerk. Leaving and Punk staying altruistic. Yeah, dude. I mean, clearly people have their stuff. I mean, here's the thing about the line here from Kenny Omega. If a bunch thought that it was comedic, and he said in a comedic manner, and he was looking at Will Ospreay, who clearly they're anxious to continue this feud and then give us all an 8-star match. I can understand if there are frustrations in the locker room about getting TV time or their creative use, that maybe it wasn't the most appropriate place to joke.
It wasn't. I mean, maybe the idea wasn't like they could understand it was a joke, but
yeah,
maybe it was a sensitive subject and not one to necessarily joke about.
Right. And again, we're just speculating based on what Meltzer's given us here, but he does seem to be giving us several sides to the same thing that, according to him, clearly happened, and he heard several people say that. But I can understand maybe a right time, right place type of situation. If you're sitting there, you get maybe a 2-minute squash match on Dark twice a month.
And otherwise, you just sit around. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like if you guys, I always recommend people following Cesar Bononi's Instagram. He's a wildly hilarious guy. Who oftentimes takes self-deprecating shots at himself for not getting more, shine on AEW programming. And but his Instagram is actually fairly entertaining, and he just seems like a really good guy. But I could see how a guy like him, who might take it in good humor, but also be like, hey, okay, you guys are the featured attraction. We all know that, but we're all here to discuss stuff that you guys want us to be here to discuss,
Yeah.
So I could see that, but I don't know, man. I mean, look, the idea that somebody's out there feeding Voices of Wrestling info that, oh yeah, Punk would do this, and maybe that's all true, but it's like clearly that if they're getting it out there through that lens of Punk would do this and the EVPs would do this. Okay, well, they're just trying to, smooth that narrative into a different form than it currently is, and there's lots of twists and turns. This is the kind of situation, dude, where it's fun to sort of sit back and watch the drama unfold, because drama, it could be fun sometimes. But at the end of the day, once this investigation's done with, then we'll get the actual ramifications of what's going on. But I was telling you this before the cameras are rolling. Wade Keller had mentioned something about Stokely Hathaway getting some heat backstage because people weren't happy that his promo seemed to be getting himself over as opposed to the wrestlers that he's promoting. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not dogging Wade Keller at all. He's fantastic. He's a legend. He's been doing this forever.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a very long time, yeah.
But it's like he's also, I think, the guy who was saying, oh, yeah, Keith Lee, Bray Wyatt, difficult to work with. Well, if that's what Vince McMahon is considering them when he's sitting there talking shit to Bray Wyatt because Bray Wyatt wants some creative direction, God forbid.
I know.
Everybody has their agenda. And yeah, I mean, it's great that Voices of Wrestling and Wade Keller and all them, they have their people and they're using that platform that they have to discuss this stuff. But, it's all shades of gray, man.
Exactly. And it's easy to get one little tidbit of information and then make a judgment based on that. But this is one of those situations. We'll get various perspectives, and everybody's got their own points of view about whether it be brawl out, Scrumgate, whether Kenny was in the right for making maybe an ill-timed joke during this meeting.
Yeah, right.
But the odds of us actually ever getting the full accurate picture of what happened,
it's impossible.
Pretty minimal. It's pretty damn minimal. So I mean, it's.
Yeah.
To pick and choose little bits of information to say, well, this is what happened and this is what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's far more complex.
And I don't expect wrestlers who have. I mean, that's why I we always push Fightful, because Sean seems to know a ton of people. Yeah. And dude, it's seemingly everybody else. So many other outlets. And I'm not naming names beyond what we've already talked about, but it's like they get one piece of the story, and then another outlet gets another piece of the story. Fightful always has seeming like a well-rounded take on things because he seems to know everybody. Yeah. And so yeah, I don't know. It's just you have to sort of sit back and take a lot of this stuff with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and it's and while it might be easier to make judgments on a situation or people's character in this scenario, at least based on one thing. I'm sure there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, I don't know if you and I'm grateful that you and I are awful networkers. And we know nobody.
Yeah, we don't know anybody.
Because
we have no sources.
I'd hate to be in that position where, like, I can exclusively tell you that somebody saw CM Punk throw some trash on the ground. You know?
The irony of that.
Oh, yeah, I know, right, exactly, yeah. There's backstage heat. It's like, I wouldn't want our business model is based on you and I just acting like a couple of clowns talking about wrestling stuff.
Exactly. It's not based on breaking news because I don't believe that's in our wheelhouse.
Right. No, I don't think we'd be good at it even if we did know hella people backstage. But luckily we know nobody.
We know nobody. Nobody. Not a single individual.
Yeah. Yes. Anyways, let's talk about this. Somebody I'd love to know, Bray Wyatt, very creative guy. Might be coming back to the WWE. Dave Meltzer says this in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter. Regarding talk of Wyatt returning, there were definitely talks in that direction. At one point, the talk stalled, but it was said it was not a dead issue. Talks with him outside WWE had also stalled in the past, as his asking price was well above what other companies were willing to pay. When he was last in WWE, the belief was that behind Reigns and Lesnar, that the tier of he, Orton, and Rousey were the highest paid pro wrestlers in the world. Meltzer also mentioned in Wrestling Observer newsletter there could be more surprise returns in the near future, stating, quote, "We were told that Paul Levesque has some surprises coming who are not people being talked about. Larson, let's talk about those people. Who could this possibly be?" Danny
I saw
Birch.
that Biff on Twitter posted the new NXT logo.
Oh, ooh, yeah.
So he's coming back.
Oh, Triple H loved that guy. He was he makes everybody look great.
I still remember his match against Roderick Strong at the house show we saw. Some of the loudest chops.
Yeah.
Loudest chops I've ever heard.
I was trying to get a read on Zack Sabre Jr.'s. This isn't a return. This is completely away from the subject. But on his contract situation with New Japan. Because I want to see him go somewhere and do something cool. I want to see him in WWE. How cool would that be?
That'd be great.
He signed like a long-term deal, I think back in like 2018, I think it was.
Oh,
which if it's 5 years could be coming up in, I don't know, 2 years or whatever. But no, 1 year. Perhaps, maybe. Yeah. Which is around the corner. But I don't know. In terms of returns, I don't know why I went on that tangent. Just thinking of cool people in WWE, people that we haven't thought about. Yeah, I don't know. Danny Birch.
Yeah, it seems like most of the names I could think up would be going back to NXT.
Yeah.
Unless
Fashion
they want
Police. Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool. I'd be down for a Tyler Breeze and Fandango.
And it'd be pretty cool, like if, hey, let's bring Trent Seven back and have him on NXT.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Oh wow. That'd be terrific. Yeah, that'd be good stuff.
But then again, we don't know if he wants to move to the States, any of that kind of stuff. So
I'll move to the States for £1,000 sterling. That doesn't seem like a lot.
Flat payment, or is that your weekly
payment? What are you talking about? Yeah. The Iconics. Well, one of them's super pregnant right now, I think. So yeah. But yeah, Jess. What's her face? The other one.
Billy Kay.
Billy Kay. Yeah. Oh man, she's great.
She is outstanding. She's awesome.
Bring her back. So yeah, Bray Wyatt. What would you do with Bray bringing him back, dude?
I mean, even based on what Triple H said during the Ariel Helwani interview, it's like he's just a whirlwind of creative ideas, and it seems like you kind of need to focus that creative energy. And maybe Vince was a little too restrictive in terms of how he tried to focus it. And I wonder if there could be some understanding where, all right, Wyndham, you get this little corner of creative. You don't get full control of it. You got to pass everything by me, but beyond that, let your creative energies run to their fullest and see what happens. And maybe there's a collaboration there that we can do. Yes, Bray Island, exactly. That a collaborative process that could develop there, that could be for the benefit of everybody. And then see if they can find a way. Because the one thing that always kind of bugged me about Bray and WWE is, and I said this before, is the disconnect between the tropes and format of WWE's approach to professional wrestling and the stories he wanted to tell. Like having a lot of these stories play out in a wrestling ring seemed very mundane compared to the ideas and concepts that he was using in his stories. Now, if they could find a way to bridge that so it feels more seamless, then you're onto something. Yeah. Then you're onto something maybe a little different.
I'm going to start a wrestling school, man. I'm going to wear a singlet from now on, man. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're right. At the same time, like, you know, he did a lot of cool stuff. I thought I liked his, when at the end of the day, to borrow a phrase from Triple H, or wrestling in general, I like the actual Bray Wyatt stuff as opposed to the Fiend stuff, because I think it was most glaring what you're talking about with the Fiend stuff, which clearly was a horror movie villain. And when you had the ultimate horror movie scenario, Hell in a Cell with Seth Rollins, the fans shit all over what was a logical horror movie conclusion. But a dude just leading a faction of weirdos, I thought sort of fits in more with pro wrestling. It's just they were still never able, really, because of Vince McMahon, to nail it down. Now, once they did, and the most cinematic thing they did, that the Cena match at WrestleMania during pandemic, what was it called? The
Firefly Funhouse.
Thank you. Yeah. Like, that really took advantage of what Bray Wyatt does best, and Cena was completely invested in it, which was awesome. But yeah, if they could, you know, just say, hey, you know, Wyndham, you get $2 million per episode to produce 20 minutes of Raw. Just do whatever you want to do. You get like 20-minute short film starring Shelton Benjamin and fucking, you know, like the main event players. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with him, but I'd love to see Triple H. You know, he talked about the challenge of working with Bray Wyatt and focusing, I think, talking probably about a lot what you're talking about. How do you channel all that amazing creative energy into pro wrestling in a way that fits? And I'd love to see them take that on. I think it'd be wildly interesting. If maybe, you know, it'd be fucking weird at some points, but
you know, if they could find a happy medium between how they approach things in ring with the Wyatt family, along with, because I really like the Firefly Funhouse stuff. I thought that was really creative. It was something different.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like the Fiend aspect of it, I thought was always kind of the weakest part of it.
Yeah, sure.
If they could, though, kind of take Firefly Funhouse, kind of match that up with the Wyatt family approach to the wrestling part, there's something there you could do. That would feel more seamless and not necessarily as kind of tied to the idea, well, he's a horror movie villain, so there's these conventions that we have to then use.
Yeah.
I always kind of shoehorn into the in-ring presentation.
It's wild though. I know a lot of people would shit on it too, but like the House of Horrors match with him and was it Orton, I think, and when we went, I thought that was pretty fucking cool. But again, it was just sort of a horror movie. It was a horror movie fight, you know. But if you could somehow, you know, now with Vince gone, if Triple H says, okay, how do we do this? I'd definitely be into it. I would definitely be into it, because I think Bray, it's funny because just earlier during our pre-show, I mentioned, you know, I like wrestlers who are sort of in the now, and he's always tried to find a way to remain in the now. It's just like sort of like Jericho. Other guys who are just really into reinvention, those guys never get stale, and I just want to see Bray Wyatt do something new. And I'd love for it to be in the world of pro wrestling, but I'm going to check out whatever that film is he was working on. Anyway.
That could potentially be pretty interesting. Let's take a quick break here, get a word from our sponsor, Liquid IV. As we usually do, Steve and I, we played basketball this week, and while I came up short when we played one-on-one, the result would have been even more lopsided had I had to deal with dehydration.
Yeah, man, and while you might not have had an answer for my lockdown defense this week, we do know how to defend against dehydration, and that's by using Liquid IV. You see, when I get dehydrated, I get these dehydration headaches, and when that happens, I can't be productive. I just lay in bed and I stare at the ceiling. But now that I'm using Liquid IV during and after our games, I've said goodbye to those headaches.
Yeah, Liquid IV has become a huge part of my basketball routine as well. I'll drink some during and after our games. I've noticed I've been able to maintain my energy level while we play, and I'm not as sore afterwards. See, Liquid IV is designed to enhance rapid absorption of water and other key ingredients into your bloodstream. One packet of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone, and contains 5 essential vitamins: B3, B5, B6, B12, and vitamin C. Now, if only I can do something to hydrate my jump shot as well as Liquid IV hydrates my body, maybe I wouldn't gotten that win this week. You know, my jumper was a little more wet.
Yeah, it was 1 week.
I got that W.
It was 1 week. It's 1 week. You got another chance next week, man. So grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco or get 15% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 15% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com.
All right, let's talk about this. It might be news. It might be non-news. It might fall somewhere in between.
Yeah, this is crazy. This could be huge or it could be absolutely nothing.
I mean, in terms of the larger television entertainment landscape, yeah, this could be exceptionally huge. How it affects wrestling, who knows yet. So in a write-up about the mess that is Warner Brothers Discovery at this moment.
Boy.
Apparently it's a massive mess.
Yeah.
Hollywood Reporter states that there is a possibility that AEW's broadcast partner, Warner Brothers Discovery, could potentially merge with one of WWE's broadcasters, NBC Universal. This is what Hollywood Reporter had to say. Quote, given the company's daunting challenges, become accepted wisdom at the highest levels of the industry that another deal waits in the wings for Warner Brothers Discovery. For reasons related to the complicated structure of that merger, no negotiations can happen until April 2024. So that's another, 18 months or so. But at that point, many industry observers believe that Comcast Brian Roberts will make a long-awaited move looking to combine NBC Universal and Warner Brothers Discovery. That deal would face some interesting antitrust issues, but would give his company scale and a viable streaming service. Obviously, Peacock sucks, says one exec with knowledge of both companies. There are some good synergies. I'm sure Roberts is licking his chops because the Warner Brothers Discovery stock is so low. And I think that's Zaslav's endgame. I believe he's the chief executive over at Warner Bros. Discovery. Get the place sold.
Yeah, he came in just to cut costs and evidently get that place sold. That's nuts. Like you do that huge merger between Warner's and Discovery,
worth billions of dollars. Yeah, just to sell it. I know.
Yeah. So like I did like a modicum of research today. NBC Universal's market cap is about 150 bills. Disney's, for context, is about 200 bills. Warner Brothers is 30 bill.
Oh wow!
Yeah, their stock has tanked. It's gone down like 50% over the past year. NBC's Universals hasn't done great either over the past year either. But yeah, I mean, I know, like, I guess so. Warner Brothers Discovery, their main streaming service obviously is HBO Max, which I think they're probably going to rebrand at some point. I don't know. Yeah, but maybe they'd hold off on that and they'd combine HBO Max and Peacock, I guess would be the idea. You know, and then I don't know what would be after that. Like, is Paramount Plus going to merge with freaking, I don't know, something else? Like, I get the feeling that we're, number one, if this is allowed by the FTC, like, and that there are no antitrust issues that they can sort of ascertain here, then at some point, you'd think the FTC would have to stop these mergers from just eventually becoming like two or one.
Disney and then NBC, Universal, Warner, Discovery. Like you'll have two giant media conglomerates and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you got like Fox and Sony out there, I think. But I don't even know how big. Like, I mean, it seems like one of these, like Disney would like try to swallow Sony, and then NBC, Universal, Warner Brothers Discovery would try to swallow Fox or something. And at some point, they got to step in and say, look, y'all, we need competition in the marketplace, and that ain't going to accomplish it, you know?
Yeah.
But assuming all that stuff, assuming this does happen, because apparently Warner Brothers is just like sort of like worth barely more than Going in Raw.
Yeah, then it's interesting where you have AEW's broadcast partner are merging with WWE's, and then you got to, you know, wonder how you'd think that NBC Universal would be kind of like the dominant force if these two companies were to merge, because they got the larger market cap. They might very well just buy out effectively Warner Brothers.
Yeah, right.
Or they take controlling interest in it.
Although there's always the weird situation where it's like, yeah, Warner Brothers is acquiring NBC Universal. It's like, how does that? You know, sometimes there's like weird shit like that. But
there's a smaller company that acquires a large one.
I think you're probably right in this situation.
You think so? So given WWE's ongoing and long relationship with NBC Universal. Of course, they own USA Network. Assuming WWE remains, or at least Raw remains on USA Network when their next TV deal is up, which will be in 2024, if memory serves. You know, is it going to be a situation where, you know, due to loyalty to a broadcast partner, they'll say, all right, AEW, out of here. I mean, they're up to start negotiating a new TV deal. AEW is in the near future. Because their deal's up in 2024, I think, too. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess you can't, as for AEW, go into any sort of TV negotiations with the idea of like, well, there's a chance this could happen.
Yeah, right.
I guess you have to go in there just trying to get as much money as you can out of this deal.
Yeah.
And then if something happens down the line, well, maybe there's a buyout clause, or at least you get some, or put that in there.
Yeah.
You know, if this deal is terminated early by Warner Brothers Discovery, then there's a buyout associated with it. I don't know. It's kind of too soon to tell, given all the moving pieces. Not to mention the regulatory aspect of it. If the government's even going to allow such a gigantic merger, that's a huge hurdle to get past. Huge.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, even the idea, even that idea that we're talking about, where it's like, okay, you've got competing companies with similar product, and they're on separate services, they're on separate channels, under entities.
The same corporate umbrella, hypothetically, though. Yeah.
But yeah, I know. But like, would the elimination of that option be one reason why an antitrust situation would evolve here? It's like, well, now you're eliminating, you know, places for content creators who are in competition to go because you're just under the same umbrella, and now once somebody's going to be frozen out. I have no fucking clue. I don't know half the words that are coming out of my mouth right now, because this shit's so it's so big. But it is the kind of thing that there's going to be concerns about going forward when if these entertainment conglomerates continue to merge like this. And I don't know what the answer would be. I mean, I have no idea. It's like, it's not like NBC Universal owns WWE. You know, and even WWE's found themselves in a tight spot at sometimes because they've got their singular product on two different channels, two different networks, and it's a narrative show, basically, that they have to, you know, try to get good ratings for. It's not just like it's football where people just go out there and it sort of sells itself. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just an interesting thing to keep an eye on. I was kind of shocked when I saw this morning because it's such a weird thing, but I guess I don't know. Warner Brothers Discovery is just in a fucking bad spot right now, and they're just, you know, they scrapped that Batgirl movie just for tax incentives, which is kind of nuts. Like, they brought back crazy. Michael Keaton as like, oh my god, they're bringing back Batman '89, and then like the movie he's gonna be in, they just fucking scrap.
That's
like, what the fuck?
It was all shot too, wasn't it?
It was yeah, except for the VFX. Yeah, the special effects, like a lot of the special effects weren't done. It was wrapped. They wrapped that shit. All they had to do was like a bunch of post. And then, like, the directors one day found themselves frozen out of the server.
That's crazy.
And they're like, what's going on right now? Oh, yeah, we're freezing production on this movie. We're probably going to scrap it. Fucking what?
That's wild.
And then I heard they held what was referred to as a funeral screening for it on the lot. It's just so people that worked on it can watch it. What was there of it? You know, a bunch of dudes in green screen suits running around.
Wow. Die Hard Homer here says, Warner only had enough money to release 2 movies this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, how does that happen?
I know. Were they in that bad financial straits before the merger, or no?
I think that was the idea.
They were like heavily in debt and stuff, right?
Yeah, they had a massive amount of debt, just a ton of debt.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's bad news, man. That's bad news.
Wow.
And I don't know, man. I don't know if there's any upside to this kind of shit going down. You know, it's like, get your shit figured out. It's going to get worse and worse.
Yep.
Anyways.
Yep. Let's talk Impact. Another quality episode of wrestling from the Impact Zone. Victory Road, which of course is kind of like kickoff show to Bound for Glory, really starting to take shape. And we got 3 or 4 new matches added for Victory Road. We got Mike Bailey versus Ring of Honor's Delirious. Mickey James versus Giselle Shaw. We got a 6-man tag match OGK and Ed Edwards taking on Josh Alexander, Heath, and Rich Swann. That's just 3 that come to mind offhand. Maybe if I scroll through here, we'll see if there's... I'm guessing Killer Kelly versus Tasha Steelz is probably going to happen. Got Victory Road as well.
Yeah.
Or maybe Bound for Glory.
I mean, that seems like a Bound for Glory match.
Yeah.
Because that's like a big feud they're building up. And they're not doing any big feuds at Victory Road. This is the most Road 2 shit.
It's build-up show for Bound for Glory.
It really is, yeah. Yeah.
We got a debut in Impact. Local hero. That's an old gimmick, I know, but Joe Hendry.
I guess it would be I think he did some Impact stuff before.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I think it'd be a return. But yeah.
Re-debut.
This was awesome. This was
pretty great.
Because it was like a joke. It was like a joke about the backstage biting and chair throwing
all
stuff.
out. Yeah, chair throwing and someone having bite marks. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Joe Hendry busts in and starts singing a song, which I love. I've always loved that stuff. He's crazy talented. I was like, I just had the biggest smile on my face when that fool bust through the door. That was great stuff. I loved, we talked about this last week, but Violence by Design, they're sort of, I love that number 1. Oh, Kayfabe's Mayfabe. Thank you so much for the gifted subs. I love that Violence by Design has to replace Joe Doring with like 20 guys, with a whole army of people. And this video package this week, we said this last week, it was really well done, the first one. Yeah. This one was fucking cool, man. I thought this was cool. So well done, with Eric Young saying, "What's my name?" and the guy being like confused, Eric Young, and he go pat, right? Yeah. Next guy, Dieter, "What's my name?"
Yeah. The designer.
The designer. I'm the designer. And then he asks another guy, "What's your name?" The guy gives
Justin.
Justin. And then Dieter bites his face off, and he's like, "No, what's your name?" And another guy says, "Violence." I was like, holy shit, that's a cool fucking idea. That is just awesome.
Pretty neat.
You know?
Pretty neat.
So I thought that was really, again, every single week, Impact finds a way to get the most out of the limited resources they probably have over there on Access TV. And then we had a pretty killer main event, first time ever, Good Brothers versus the Motor City Machine Guns. And it does seem like the Good Brothers were more than happy to do the job here, because I think they're probably on their way out. But Gallows looked like he was having a blast in there, because I think their time is probably coming to an end in Impact.
Yeah, this might be their last. This might have been their last round of TV tapings. They seemingly have no issues doing the honors on their way out either. Taking that L to Motor City Machine Guns. Let's get into it. Show opened with Mascara Dorada taking on probable. For the Friendo Awards, Wrestler of the Year nominee, Speedball Mike Bailey.
Absolutely.
Later on, when he's talking to Scott D'Amore, we find out this is his eighth title defense. Yeah. He won this belt was the last pay-per-view.
Like, God, he has not had that. Yeah, the last actual.
Yeah, I think he got a Slammiversary. He has not had this. He defends this title every week,
every single week, and it's
every
always,
week.
On the off chance that there's like a week that goes by where he doesn't defend it, it's like Impact is noticeably not as good.
Yeah. And every match has been awesome, and this one no different. Fantastic bout between Mascara Dorada, Mike Bailey. Bailey gets the win here, hits his spin kick, Ultimo Weapon. And then Kenny King runs to the ring, attacks Mascara Dorada and Mike Bailey from behind, sends Dorada out of the ring, hits Bailey with a royal flush, and then Kenny King leaves when Dorada gets back in.
Yeah. So we sort of talked about this a second ago, but we'll get into more detail here. Violence by Design. Eric Young has all of his dudes there in their yellow hoodies. Him and Deaner come out of the house, and they're all just waiting there. And he's like, "You step forward." And dude, he said, "Take your hoodie down." So the guy does. Asks what his name is, what Eric Young's name is. And he says, "Eric Young." And Deaner goes and bites his face off. So Eric Young tells someone else to step forward, asks him what his name is. And he says, "The designer." He's like, "That's right, I'm the designer. You're all here to witness the revival of violence." And then he says, "You step forward." Big fella steps up. He's like, "What's your name?" Justin. And then Deaner goes, grind.
That's what eats the guy's face. Yeah.
And then Eric Young, he's like, "You step forward. What's your name?" He's like, I don't know, Violence. And he says, "Very good. That's correct." And then he goes person by person. They all say, violence, violence, violence. This is fucking badass.
It was pretty cool.
I don't want to join that group, but that was really cool to see.
It is. It is. Now I want to see how that's implemented, like in a wrestling capacity.
Yeah.
Like is our Diener and
all
Eric
those
Young.
dudes are eating pins.
I'm just wondering if like they're gonna come to the ring with 20 people in yellow hoodies, you know?
Yeah, man.
That's gonna be quite a sight.
Every match is it's a lumberjack match. All these guys have manager cards, credentials.
There you go, lumberjack matches. Yes,
they're all lumberjack matches.
Backstage, Mike Bailey's recuperating from his bout. Scott D'Amore walks up, says, "Hey, are you all right?" And Bailey says, "Yeah, all things considered, I'm doing fine." And Scott D'Amore says, "You know, you've really been stealing the show lately, and I got a challenger for you, Victory Road. Delirious, as we mentioned earlier, wants a shot at the X Division title, but I also got something else I want to talk to you about." And Bailey thinks he's in trouble.
He said, "What did I do? Am I in trouble?
Did I do something wrong?"
Yeah.
And Scott D'Amore says, "No, but you've actually done too much right.
Oh, no.
A lot of people want a shot at your title, so I'm bringing back the triple threat revolver match." And some of the names he mentioned for it are Trey Miguel, Taurus, Mia Yim, Kazarian, Alex Zane.
Alex Zane, yeah.
Yuya, I believe.
Yuya Mura, yeah.
I might have forgotten the name or two. But
it was Taurus and another dude who's the Laredo Kid.
Okay. Yeah. And so they're going to have that match at Victory Road, and whoever wins that gets a title shot at Bound for Glory against Speedball.
Yeah. So after that, we had Crazy Steve and Taurus versus Macklin and Moose, two guys who claim they're not in league with each other, but clearly they're just teaming up all the time. But that seemed to fall apart here. Of course, they get the win. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, they don't.
No, they take the L here. So Taurus pushes Macklin into Moose and then rolls up Macklin for the win. So these guys are all over the map. So Sami Callihan shows up on the balcony, does the God's work here by firmly splitting them up. And he says, "You know, I'd love to see Moose and Macklin beat the hell out of each other." He says, "But I call bull crap on claims that you're not working together." They sound too much like Eric, like the designer.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like the designer there, yeah.
And then, you know, I know that Sami Callihan now is a B-movie aficionado, cult film enthusiast, but he used to be a hacker. And
apparently still is.
And so he used some of that programming skills to hack into Moose's FaceTime call where he's talking to his lawyer. Yeah. He's like, "Hey, is the deal I got with Macklin binding?" And the lawyer's like, "Yeah, no, I mean, you know, legally speaking." Wait, what is it?
He says something like, "Did you sign anything?" Or is it just kind of like a verbal contract? And essentially Moose was like, "I just want to make sure that I could turn on him without any legal repercussions."
He says, "I'm going to screw Macklin without any legal repercussions before he can screw me." And so it comes back to like the arena. And Macklin's like, "Oh, that means nothing. There's a deal here. Nothing's going to stop me and Moose from tearing you apart." And Sami says, "Oh, yeah, thumbs down. I came prepared." He's got another video where Macklin is on security footage saying he's going to put a bullet in Moose's head before Moose can stab him in the back. I hope he means metaphorically. And so Sami Callihan gets the win here with his hacking ability. And Macklin and Moose start trading punches because Moose is like, "I just said I was going to screw you over. You said you're going to put a bullet in my head." And so they start brawling. They go down to the floor. Sami joins in, throws Macklin to the ring, gets his barbed wire bat from under the ring. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Hits Macklin in the gut with it, takes another swing. Macklin gets out of there.
Yeah,
that's a fucking mess right there. You think Callihan has the upper hand? I don't know, man. They introduced Macklin to this equation. Maybe Macklin's going to go back on a hot run, man.
I believe in this Moose Callihan feud, they've each won a match.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't the go home. We'll see what happens next week. You got one more Impact before the go home,
and then it's the very next night. Yeah.
We're
gonna do a watch along to that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice. Yeah. No, we're not doing a SmackDown watch along tonight.
No,
I got things that I want to do instead.
Next we got Rosemary, Taya, and Jessica backstage, and Rosemary saying, "Last week things went down pretty much as I thought they would. Jessica caused a distraction, and that led to Taya taking the loss." And Jessica says, "No, Rosemary, you were the distraction." Taya would have won if Rosemary hadn't distracted the ref. And she says, I asked Taya, and she said, and then Rosemary interrupts, says, oh, what did Taya say? And Taya says, well, Rosemary, I think you have an issue with Jessica, and that's what's really causing this problem. She says, I think Jessica is fun. I think she's sick.
She's sick.
And Rosemary says, well, Jessica needs to prove it. And Taya says, I have an idea.
I love these three. They're so great.
Yeah.
They have great
chemistry. They got great chemistry.
They really do, yeah.
Little fly.
Got that fly in there. Next match, Alicia versus Killer Kelly. And Killer Kelly spends most of this match as she's dismantling Alicia, just staring at Tasha Steelz, really enjoying the fact that Tasha Steelz gets to watch her dismantle a human being. This is all great stuff. Killer Kelly ends up getting the killer clutch for the win here, and then Tasha tells Savannah to attack Kelly with a chair, and then Savannah puts a chair in the ring. Kelly steps on it, smashes Savannah's hand, and then Tasha tries to get in the ring. Kelly gets in her face, tells Tasha, I'll see you soon. That's some good stuff right there.
Yep. Then we got the Joe Hendry video package. This was fantastic. Go out of your way to check this out.
Yeah.
Especially if you like musical numbers.
Right, exactly. I'm looking forward to that shit, man.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Then we got Josh Alexander and Rich Swann taking on Taven and Bennett, OGK. So last week they showed a little picture-in-picture bit where Heath went up to Josh Alexander and says, hey, I'll be your partner. And Josh says, too bad for you. I already have a partner, Rich Swann.
Yeah.
So Alexander's looking for the C4 spike on Taven. Edwards runs to the ring. Taven hits Josh Alexander with the kick. He's looking for climax. I guess that's his finish. Josh escapes that, puts on an ankle lock. So Maria gets on the apron to distract the ref. Edwards hits Josh Alexander with a kendo stick. And then Heath sees this and tries to be the equalizer. Hits Taven with a wake-up call, but the ref sees it. It's like a plain view of the ref.
Yeah, right.
And so the ref DQs Alexander and Swann.
Yeah. Big dummy, Heath. Like you've done your part, Heath. Just you need to go find Rhino or something, do something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you've proven your point.
Next, we're back in Jordan Grace's locker room. She's looking at the Mosh is gonna kill you stuff scrawled on the wall, and then Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice enter with a huge pizza. And she's like, I didn't order pizza. And Swinger says, no, I did. And she says, well, what are you here for? And so Zicky hands her an envelope. And inside is a picture of Max the Impaler.
Yeah.
Who is going to be Jordan's opponent at Victory Road.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's the pick your poison thing. Masha picked this for Jordan Grace. Yeah.
And then eventually Jordan slaps Zicky in the face with a giant slice of pizza.
Yeah, right. Oh, and I think, doesn't she say she's going to fight Zicky Dice next week or something like that? Yeah, I think she did.
Oh.
She said, I'm going to kick your ass next week, Zicky. And slapped him after she slapped him with the pizza.
That's great.
He looked pretty sad about that. That should be a lot of fun.
That should be.
Yeah, after that, we had Alexander and Swann backstage. Heath walks up, says, hey, man, my bad on the DQ. He says, but when Ed Edwards, I got involved, I had to do it. And then Scott D'Amore walks in and says, I don't know, more is too much, but you hitting that wake-up call on them will never get old to me. He's just encouraging this shit.
He has an obvious issue with Honor No More and is not shy about it.
Super biased. He says, you guys were close to winning the tag titles, and then he makes the six-man tag match at Victory Road, OGK and Edwards versus Heath, Swann, and Alexander.
Which I'm sure Honor No More will win.
Yeah.
Then we got Mickie James versus Hyen. This is, of course, Mickie James' last rodeo. She wins this one. Last rodeo continues after she hits DDT. Then Giselle Shaw comes to the ring, and she says, well, Mickie, is this what you've really come to? The great Mickie James begging for matches, wrestling nobodies. But the only reason that you're wrestling nobodies is to delay the inevitable. You want to hold on to your spotlight just a little bit longer. But I'm here to tell you that your time is up. And if you wonder if you've still got it, then why not do Hardcore Country versus the Quintessential Diva at Victory Road?
Yeah, man. Yeah. After that, we had another Vincent PCO video package. Can you just do the PCO thing here? It was just that. It was just a close-up of that. And Vincent's talking about carnival people or something. I don't know. After that, we had
he's talking about attractions and stuff like that, like carnival attractions is what he's talking about.
Yeah, all right, carnival people, that's what I'm talking about. You know, the bearded lady. That's an attraction. She's an attraction. What's your favorite carnival attraction person, man?
Oh, it's the strong man.
Oh yeah.
I always got the singlet with the one strap with the pants underneath of it.
The handlebar mustache. Yeah.
Yeah, you got that right.
Mine is the dude with no arms and no legs who can light a cigarette.
Oh yeah,
that guy. You can see that right now on YouTube. Brian Myers. This was really well done. They had the cameraman get up on like a platform or whatever, like a thing above Brian Myers. So he's just looking up.
He's standing on a ladder. Yeah.
Well, he starts climbing the ladder. Yeah. And he gets closer and closer to the camera because that digital media title, which honestly just needs a new name because it's a terrible name, but it's like they actually treat it pretty well. So yeah, they're gonna have a ladder match for that. Is that at Victory Road?
Yes. No, that's next week. Sorry.
That's next week. I like that. Like they're putting the good matches on TV, and like the throwaway matches are at Victory Road. Like, come on, man! Motor City Machine Guns and Good Brothers. That's not at Victory Road. They just put that on. Well, but maybe the Good Brothers aren't even going to be at Victory Road.
That's true because I feel like even the Impact Plus shows now they're doing live rather than tape.
Yeah,
so.
Somebody here in chat mentioned maybe the Good Brothers are the ones going to WWE. Names that haven't been discussed before. Where do you think they would fit in? Here's a tangent for you. Where would the Good Brothers fit in? They're not doing anything with AJ Styles right now.
No, they're not.
Put them with AJ.
Could do that. Have them feud with Judgment Day.
Judgment Day, yeah. There you go.
That could be something.
That could be fucking cool, man.
Then main event, Motor City Machine Guns.
Whoop-ha.
Versus Good Brothers. Carl Anderson. What does Carl Anderson do, Steve?
Eating them pins like I eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yep. Carl Anderson ate this pin after Motor City Machine Guns hit a neck breaker top rope splash combo. Skull and Bones, I believe, is what they called it.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Sabin covers them to get the win.
Yeah.
And then there's a real show of good sportsmanship afterwards.
Oh, man, yeah. They go for, they're looking for Motor City Machine Gun dudes. They're looking for handshakes. And instead, the Good Brothers throw up the too sweet. And they all just start hugging and laughing.
Yeah.
And they're like, our time here in Impact has been nice. We've been paid well. It's been a big vacation. We tape 2 days a month. But time to go back to New York.
Harv here is asking, isn't Anderson still never champion? I believe so. And I thought I read that they have commitments with New Japan.
Through Wrestle Kingdom. Huh? Yeah, okay. All right. Well, all right.
Maybe Paul could work out some deal where it's like, okay, you guys could fulfill your commitments with New Japan, but come on over here.
Could you fucking imagine if Carl Anderson shows up in WWE with the Never title?
That'd be pretty wild, man.
Oh, my God. Be like that time Dan Severn showed up with like all those different titles.
With like 5 different titles, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, the NWA title, 2 of his UFC titles, and something else.
That'd be fucking nuts.
Maybe it was 3 UFC titles. I don't remember exactly.
That was a lot.
It's a lot of belts.
Pride title. Wouldn't they have like a Pride title too?
I don't remember.
Was Pride a thing back then?
We got a SmackDown tonight. I know that. We won't be watching it live with everybody. We'll watch it on our own time.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't mean the show's not happening.
Yeah.
First segment here. Logan Paul brings his media megastar energy to SmackDown.
Sounds like
it was something else that he got Roman Reigns on his podcast.
That's awesome.
That's a huge get.
Sounds like a Triple H. Look, he's a media megastar.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
they love their alliteration over there at WWE.
They do. I wonder if they tried like influencer. He's a something influencer. What's another one that starts with I? I got nothing. Incredible.
I'm kind of stumped right there.
He's an incredible influencer. No, that sounds
there
terrible.
You go.
That sounds terrible, Paul. Sorry, Heartbreak.
There's also a fatal 4-way match set to determine top contender for the tag titles. Maybe Braun Strowman won't get involved in this one.
Oh, he will. he's watching this show right now like, oh, wait, there's another tag match.
Hands!
They're going to get hands.
I'm not finished with any of you.
My name's the designer of hands. All right, everybody. That's going to do it for the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.